Newfoundland, Canada. A province of sea, earth, and sky, so expansive, full of possibility. An island on the easternmost boundary of North America on the Atlantic Ocean, the livelihood of Newfoundlanders has been inextricably linked to the seas ever since European Vikings landed on her shores more than 1,000 years ago. This is a story of the lives lived and lives lost near Bell Island and the iconic shipwrecks that rest a silent monument today, 100 feet below the ocean's surface. The story of these shipwrecks begins on Bell Island in Conception Bay. Bell Island was once the home to the second largest iron ore mine in the British Commonwealth. Starting in the 1890s, high-quality iron ore was pulled up from the earth and shipped to steel mills around the world. Today, the mine is a museum, with artifacts left behind by the men who drilled, blasted, and shoveled their ways underground, and the boys who tended to horses and sorted the mine tailings rock by rock. Graffiti on the walls offer vague clues about their lives underground. Much of the mine tunnels are now underwater and were recently the site of an exploratory cave diving expedition led by Jill Heinerth, renowned Canadian explorer. The mines of Bell Island extend far beyond the island itself. Miners pursued ore for miles out under the sea, the ocean floor far above their heads, separated by hundreds, sometimes thousands of feet of rock. Down and out they went, shoveling ton after ton of ore into cable cars that were mechanically drawn back to the surface and onto freight ships destined for steel mills around the world. On the coast, sea caves give way to some of the older mines, some caved in and others still accessible today. Rusting rail lines are small reminders of the once mighty operation that yielded 79 million tons of iron ore and drew 14,000 inhabitants to this island in its heyday. A brick of iron ore, resting 100 feet underwater. A diver swims through the now empty hold of a wrecked ship, where thousands of tons of iron ore would have once been loaded up from the Bell Island mine and shipped to Allied forces in World War II. That same iron ore made this ship a target for a German U-boat in 1942, when 2 torpedoes brought her down in 90 seconds, taking 28 men aboard to their watery graves. A diver examines the Marconi room, named after the Italian engineer who pioneered long-distance radio transmission, perched atop the superstructure of the SS Rose Castle. The deepest of the wrecks off Bell Island, the Rose Castle is protected by the deep from icebergs passing overhead, leaving it well preserved. Discarded fishing nets drape the fallen masts and rigging, offering new real estate for the anemones that populate the wreck today. At the stern of the boat sits a cannon, pointing in some arbitrary direction. This solitary defense against the sudden appearance of a U-boat has found new meaning underwater: null. Anemones exploding from the barrel like flowers from a gun. Since her sinking 74 years ago, the Rose Castle has become a vibrant reef for underwater activity, supporting new and strange life, and attracting divers from around the world to explore her secrets. The Lord Strathcona is the sister ship to the Rose Castle. Here, the imposing superstructure rises off the deck, largely intact and covered in life. Resting in shallower water, white plumose anemones flourish aboard this steel ship, giving refuge to fish and crabs. These cargo holds would once have carried thousands of tons of ore to Germany before the outbreak of World War II. But when war broke out, all shipments went to support the Allied forces, making the Lord Strathcona and other carriers a strategic target for the Nazis. Today these holds are empty, the thick steel sides ripped open by the German torpedo that sent her to the ocean floor. Twisted ribbons of rugged steel are evidence of the sheer violence of the explosion that brought the Lord Strathcona down to her final resting place. She was the second ship to meet her fate that day, and the crew had precious moments to abandon ship. No lives were lost. Swimming along the wreck, over and below the ladders and walkways that would once have reverberated with the footsteps of her crew. Instead, there is silence and stillness. The sea has colonized every usable inch of the wreckage. Our exploration of the wrecks of Bell Island was made possible by the crew of Ocean Quest Diving, whose vast knowledge of the region is matched by their enthusiastic love of the sport. Each morning, our expedition began the same: strong coffee, breakfast, and a truck full of dive gear. Aboard the Mermaid, divers assemble their gear, check their equipment, and prepare for the day's adventures.
Hello, selfie!
The PLM-27 was the second ship to meet its demise on November 2, 1942, a single torpedo taking her down with 12 crew just minutes after the SS Rose Castle. An unused lifeboat rests just off to one side. a skeleton of its former self, now home to sponges, anemones, and urchins. Not all lives were lost when the PLM-27 went down. Residents of Bell Island plucked the survivors from the water and doctored them in their homes. The legendary kindness and bravery of Newfoundlanders is well founded by history and lives on today. It's difficult to simply define the wrecks of Bell Island. Sanctuary, artifact, habitat, graveyard. One thing is clear: the stories they hold and the secrets they preserve command both awe and respect. They are monumental reminders of human histories, sprawling and intricate, of human ingenuity, industry, conflict, and sovereignty. But in a very real sense, new life has sprung from tragedy, and the stories of the war, of the people of Bell Island, the men and women who made incredible sacrifices, these stories live on 100 feet below the sea, cloaked in natural beauty, waiting to be told. These are the shipwrecks of Bell Island.